Hey, how's it going, YouTube? What's going on? This is Eric with Eric Abroad. Thank you for joining the podcast. If you're new to the podcast, welcome. My name is Eric, and I have a really small YouTube channel where we focus on traveling, exploring, and discussing Japanese culture. Learn a little Japanese while we're at it as well. Speaking of which, today's word of the day, I'm going to start doing that, I guess, now. We're going to do a word of the day because I'm in the mood for that. Today's word of the day in Japanese is how to say "thank God it's Friday" in Japanese, which there's kind of a slang word for it, and that word is hanakin. Hanakin. That's if you were to spell it out, it'd be like Hanakin. Hanakin. For those studying and kind of using kanji and shit, I guess you don't need kanji for it. But I believe it's hana as in like the flower hana, and then king as in gold. So it's kind of like the beautiful day where you get gold. I don't really know, but they say Hana King. That's like how you say like, hey, thank God it's Friday. It's Hana King. And I'm saying that. I know it's Monday, and a lot of you guys are probably miserably on your way to work or school or whatever you're doing. Tomorrow is the first day that I've had off in I think 3 months. I literally haven't had a day off in 3 months. The only days I've taken off were sick days, and those don't count. Because I was like half sick. I'd wake up feeling like so shit. I'm like, yeah, right. I'm not going to school. Yeah, right. I'm not going to work because I was really overworked basically over this first semester I'm in school, and just way too busy. So today was my last day at my job at a Japanese bookstore. I guess now that I'm not working there, I don't really mind saying the name of it. I was working at it's a store called Kinokuniya. Kinokuniya, say that 100 times fast. It's actually pretty hard. It's a really famous Japanese bookstore chain, basically. And I got a job there in order to increase my Japanese because, hey, like, you can speak Japanese. A lot of the customers are Japanese. My bosses were all Japanese. One of them was from Osaka, actually, where, I forgot to mention, today's podcast, we're going to be talking about, I'm kind of going off on a lot of tangents here, but that's what the podcast, I guess, is kind of for. So I hope that's okay with you guys. We're going to be talking about how I studied abroad. I guess you may have saw it in the title, but that's what we'll be talking about. But I just want to explain why the word of the day today is Hanakin, because tomorrow is the first day I've had off in forever, and I'm so excited. I'll admit I'm pretty tired right now. It's almost midnight here, but I wanted to record this and kind of get it uploaded for you guys before morning hits. And I kind of want to just get it done so that I can go to bed and sleep in. Oh, I can't wait. It sucks. It's such a luxury for those of you who maybe aren't working or going to school, or maybe you just have weekends and stuff. Do never get yourself busy enough in life where you don't have a lazy Sunday, basically. Like, have a day in the week where you can like sleep in, wake up late, make a good breakfast, watch some TV, have some, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's pretty obvious, but I never really realized how important that is. Just like, how do you say, like mental health, I guess? Like, if you've seen my last videos lately, I've been kind of just discussing how stress has really kind of taken over my life lately. And I'm not a stressful guy. If you see my channel, you can see I like to have fun. I'm an outgoing guy. I purposely don't follow things like politics and things like that. Maybe I shouldn't even mention that, but I just want to say, like, because I don't like to get stressed out. So anything that's kind of stressful, I just push to the side, kind of. I don't know if that's a bad thing, but I like to have fun. I don't like to be controlled by stress. So I said, all right, you know what? I got my job at the bookstore to improve my Japanese, but I'm so busy that it's actually getting worse. I'm not studying so well. So I decided to quit. It was kind of sad because I actually liked all the people that work there. And my boss, she's this sweet old Japanese lady. She was kind of my grandma, giving me life advice every day and cracking grandma jokes and stuff. She was great. I love her. So I'll go back and visit to say hi and stuff. One thing really quick before we start this, I am super stoked. I am looking at my YouTube channel. I can kind of look at the stats here over the last 30 days. This is pretty cool. I mean, 2 weeks ago, I posted a video, and that was announcing my 10,000 subscriber milestone, which for me is huge. I was really excited about that. And I logged on today, and it's at 13,000 already within 2 weeks. So just in the last month, my subscriber count has gone up over 3,000, which, I mean, I'm not good at math, but that's what, like 30%-ish? I mean, when it's what? I don't know. Sorry. I'm like going off on a tangent. I meant out of 13,000 if it gets off, of course. Okay, I'm done. basically my subscriber count seems to have gone up about 30% in the last month, and that's crazy. If it continues to go up at this rate, it probably, I don't know if it, I mean, it probably won't, but I mean, I'm not against it. That's pretty cool. If it really, like, if it gets up to like 20,000, I don't know. I never expected the channel to get this much. I kind of just started it as a hobby and, for myself, and it's I'm happy to see that there's a lot of people that are interested and people that are really enjoying it. And seriously, I've never seen such, like, YouTube can be such a cancerous place with, like, bad comments. I have so much fun just going through my own comments. Of course, there's some trolls and stuff in any YouTube video, but, like, I almost want to do, like, a comment of the day. Maybe I won't do this on the fly here because I'm not really ready. I don't have a comment yet. Like, pulled up here. I'm kind of looking through them right now to see if I can find one, but I'll start doing like a comment of the day, something that just, like, either made my day or something that I thought was cool. Most of you guys are just like, all right, okay, here's one. It's not like that deep, but I'll just I hope it's okay if I say your name because it's a YouTube name, so it's kind of public anyway. Sage Fox, one day ago on my Japanese interviewing Japanese students at Kansai Gaidai, and we're going to be talking about that school today because I studied abroad there, so I guess it kind of fits. This one right now has 24 upvotes, and it says, okay, this is from my recommended, and I do not regret watching. Thank you, Sage Fox. You're the man. Seriously, thank you so much. I even I replied to it throwing a little smiley face in there for you because that's awesome. I'm happy to see that it's popping up in people's recommendeds. That's really cool. That makes me really happy, obviously, and I'm really excited to see that. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I'm kind of that was kind of a really long intro. I just wanted to kind of get that off my chest. I'm really excited to have a day off tomorrow. Hana King is the word of the day, and today's topic is how I studied abroad in Japan. So without further ado, let's get into it. So excuse me. The first thing I guess I want to just say before we start this is as much as I wish I kind of had, like, a bunch of different brochures, information about how everyone can study abroad. It varies from school to school. It varies from person to person, and you don't necessarily, well, if you're studying abroad, of course, you're going to school, so never mind. But I was going to say you don't need to go to school, but if you're studying abroad, you probably need to be in school. So I'm going to be speaking today, basically on my experience, in hope that, like, because there was mistakes, good and bad things that I did basically in my study abroad. So maybe listening to kind of my story can maybe help pan out your intentions and your plans, and kind of maybe map out whether or not you'd like to do it. And you should do it if you're interested. I recommend it. And but also, there's a lot of factors that go into it, like finances and how long you're going to be there. Does it apply to your degree? So today I'm going to be discussing what I went through. How it went down for me, and I kind of have some notes here to kind of help me stay on track here. So we'll try to keep this podcast at around an hour. So I've already wasted like 10 minutes doing this intro. So let's go ahead and get started. So the school I go to is in Oregon. It's Portland State University. So I'm going to say the words PSU a lot. So just throwing that out there. PSU is Portland State University. Basically what happened for me, I kind of mentioned probably in my last podcast, if you listen to it, where I got interested in studying Japanese through a few friends. And then after that, I decided to start studying Japanese, like in school and studying abroad. So around that time it was kind of just like a thought. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to study abroad. Like I kind of got really excited about it. I never really considered that at any other point in my life. I never really wanted to go abroad. I mean, I wanted to go travel abroad. I just didn't really want to go live and, like, learn another language anywhere. So when I was finally thinking about, like, oh, I could visit my friends in Japan, I could go there for a while, I could maybe do some YouTube. That sounds so fun. So I decided to go to my school. They basically, every school who has, like, education abroad, any sort of program like that, they should have, like, an international, what was the name of my area? I forget. It's like the International Affairs Office, I think. Kind of just anything that has to do with, like, kids coming there to study abroad or going away to study abroad. So I went in there, set up a meeting, just said, like, hey, I just want to talk to someone and kind of ask questions. My biggest concern in the beginning was how expensive it is. Because I will say this off the bat, studying abroad, it can get very expensive. It can be very expensive. Mine was pretty expensive. but there are some things you can do to make it less expensive, like scholarships, obviously saving up money. So my biggest concern was how expensive it was, because a lot of people say that studying abroad is expensive. So I went in and asked. And my original intention was to go to Tokyo, because my two friends that kind of got me interested in Japanese, they were from Tokyo. And hey, who doesn't want to go to Tokyo? Anyone who hasn't been to Japan, Tokyo is kind of it's the top place, right? So I go in there and asked about it, just like, hey, what are the different programs? How much would it be if I did this and this? And I told him I was interested in Tokyo, that I wanted to go for at least a year, if not longer. I think I originally asked if I could go for 2 years. In hindsight, it's probably better that I didn't. As much as I wish I was in Japan for 2 years, being at the same school and around like the same kind of program and people for 2 years would probably be. I was pretty it was good to come home and get a little break. I want to go back to Japan so bad, but I don't really want to go back to. I guess we have an hour to talk about this. The school I went to was very bittersweet. We'll get to it in a few minutes here. There were some very not good things about the school. Just throwing that out there. So the school I went. Sorry. Let me backtrack. I told the lady how kind of what I was interested in and everything, and kind of so I asked her, how much is it? And so this is going to vary from school to school. So again, I apologize. I'm sure there's going to be a different school, or okay, I'll shut up. Basically with Portland State, they are sister schools with a school in Osaka called, I forget the proper name, Kansai Gaidai University. So that means Kansai is the region, kind of I like to use this analogy. Well, it's not an analogy, it's true. Tokyo is in the Kanto. In an American accent would be Kanto, but Kanto, it kind of sounds like cunt, so I don't like to say it. But Kanto region, that's where Tokyo is. It's kind of more north from Osaka, kind of like central Japan. And if anyone had played Pokemon when they were kids, it's the Kanto region, right? The Kanto region. It's based off that. So Kansai is like Osaka, Kobe, Kyoto, the ancient Kyoto city. That's all in the Kansai region. So when I told her that I was interested in Tokyo, she had told me, she kind of had she looked a little worried, oh, well, we have Tokyo, and I was like, oh boy, what's the catch here? Basically what she had told me is that they offer programs in Tokyo, and I'm going to imagine almost all schools do, because it's Tokyo. It's the capital of Japan. But it was tremendously more expensive, at least with my school. Again, it's going to vary from school to school. Basically, my school is sister schools with Kansai. The nickname for Kansai Gaikokugo Daigaku. That's such a mouthful. So they made it short. It's Kansai Gaidai, which it's just the Kansai foreign school, essentially. Kansai Gaidai. So I went to Kansai Gaidai, and I started. She recommended it. She said, "Hey, we're sister schools with them. It's really easy to get set up." And financially, this is what was really caught my attention, and I didn't know this existed, because they're sister schools. The tuition that I pay at PSU was the exact same if I were to go to Japan. So right off the bat, to me, that sounded like, oh, it's going to be basically free because it's the same cost, right? Well, of course, there's additional costs of traveling. You have to pay to fly there. You have to pay for housing, which at that time I was living with my parents, so I wasn't paying for housing. So that was an additional expense. You're going to be traveling. You're going to be going out eating. You're going to be going out drinking with your friends. You're going to go to, all these different things. It costs a lot of money. There's you can definitely live frugally, but if you're going to study abroad, you should have enough money to allow yourself to kind of blow money sometimes. Not like crazy, but I blew a little money in Japan, and I racked up a little, I guess, red debt. I'm in the red a little bit here, but I don't regret it at all. I will happily pay off over the next couple of years, pay back that money because it was so good. Which I guess goes in, or I was going to go to this next topic. A lot of people, can apply for scholarships, which I actually, I absolutely recommend, except I applied for I always tell people that I applied for 10. I think I realistically turned in 5 or 6, specifically for studying abroad. I hoped okay, I've been studying Japanese at that time. I was okay, I've been studying Japanese for a year. I'm really interested in the culture. I'm going to write a really good essay, and I'll for sure get a few scholarships. I didn't get jack. And I was gonna, maybe I shouldn't go into that. I was gonna say, maybe I shouldn't even say that. Well, it's the podcast. Fuck it. Part of me seriously thinks, because my family's like middle class. We're not rich, but we're middle class, and that I'm white, and just a white middle class American. I honestly want to say it's harder for us to get scholarships just because it checks a lot on the scholarship. Like, are you Hispanic? Are you from Asian descent? Are you African American? It's like, it seems to be, I don't know. Sorry. I didn't want to throw it out there, but I feel like the white privilege thing kind of got me, but I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. But needless to say, I didn't get a single scholarship. I got literally no money. I didn't get any grants. It was literally like, if you want to go study abroad, you're gonna have to pay out of pocket. So I'm like, well, fuck. So I'll basically tell you, for anyone interested, I'll even just say it because it's the school expense. I basically asked, like, so how much would a whole year be, roughly? And they had estimated that the total for the whole year, would be, and it is a lot of money. I was gonna say it sounds like a lot. It is a lot. Was $20,000 for 1 year. $20,000. So I don't have 20 grand, obviously. So what did I do? I got student loans, a lot of loans. So before I was doing student loans to pay for tuition, so that was already covered, which covered like almost half of it, but I needed to get the other like 10 or 12,000 somehow. And, sorry, my throat's a little dry. I have a cough here. A little tickle in my throat here. There is a loan that my school offered. So check with your school if they offer this. It's called the Parent Plus loan. The Parent Plus loan, what it essentially is a loan that you get kind of through your parents. Like, you use your parents to help you sign up for it, and they're almost like collateral, in a sense. Like, it sounds bad, but like, if you're gonna pay, if you're gonna pay it back properly, there's nothing different than a scholarship or than a financial aid. But it's only that your parents are now on it. So it's, make sure you talk with them and stuff. And I, kind of begged my parents, and they're like, oh, it's fine. As long as you pay it back, it's fine. The only difference is that if you don't pay it back, your parents have to pay it back. So that's called, that's the Parent Plus loan. That's what I did. So I did the normal financial aid through school and then the Parent Plus loan, and that was enough to cover it. So once I figured out that, and I realized I wasn't getting any scholarships, I'm like, well, that sucks. I'm going to go in the red quite a bit. But again, it was basically like 2 times the amount that I'm paying already at school. And for me, going abroad and everything sounded really worth it. So at that point, I started seriously considering, the program. I started researching Kansai Gaidai a lot on the internet and trying to find YouTube videos, which there weren't very many. So if I make more videos, maybe that'd be a good thing because there's no other videos I can tap into that. So yeah, and then, other than that, well, okay, and I think within that $20,000, the plane ticket was also factored in. So that's another thing. It's realistically like $19,000, but the other $1,000 is the round trip plane ticket. In my case, if you've seen it's one of my first videos. It's really old. You can go back and check it if you're really curious. I think it's called like Flying to Tokyo from the US. It's like my first time flying to Tokyo. It was when I actually was going to study abroad. Basically, my parents are good friends with with someone who is a pilot, and I'm not going to say the company or his name or anything, but they helped me get a really good deal on a ticket. I basically paid like under $300, not round trip, but straight. So normally a round trip to Japan is roughly $1,000 to $1,200 American US dollars. So direct flight for less, it was like $250. I think I paid like $250. It's crazy. So it's like round trip for $500. That's like less than half the price. So I was really happy to do that. I got to ride business class. If you watch the video, you'll see why it was so cool. It's incredible. I got really lucky. They basically bumped me up to business class for free. And, oh my gosh, I'll never fly that well again. It was incredible. So just factor that in, the round trip flight, if you on a normal flight is about $1,000, which compared to some countries isn't very bad. I remember I flew to Europe once and the round trip was seriously like somewhere around 2,500 US dollars, which is insane. Like that's just insane. That's so expensive. I couldn't believe it. So to Japan and back, I think it's a lot more affordable. It's still a lot of money, but with like student loans and stuff, it can definitely work. I'm kind of looking at my notes here just to make sure I'm kind of on track here. Sorry about that. So I basically talked to the school. I asked, my biggest concern was money. And when they told me like, it's spendy, but if you get enough loans, you can cover it. I was like, okay, cool. Talking with my parents about it, had that talk, and they they were a little surprised that I was interested in it, but they had seen that I've been interested in Japan lately and kind of studying on my own, and I was kind of hinting it. So they were really supportive. So love you, Mom and Dad. If I think my mom listens to this sometimes, so sorry for the cursing, Mom. I love you. They were really, really supportive for me going, and my parents were great. So yeah, just I think one thing as far as parents is like if you're really passionate and you're really serious and you really want to go and you show it, any good parent will be happy for you, even if they don't understand. So I hope your parents are really supportive for you as well, because that was a big thing. There's some days when you're abroad, it's good to be able to call home if you're kind of having a bad day, and if your parents are really supportive, that was really helpful for me mentally. Wow, my throat is really dry today. Let me let's see. I have some coffee here. It's midnight and I'm drinking coffee. Such an asshole. Sorry about that, man. My throat is killing me. I have this problem. You might have been able to tell where I talk really fast and I talk really long and I talk too much. Oh, and I forgot I went drinking last night. Never mind. My friend last night, even though it was my last day of work today, I don't work till noon. So my friend last night was like, "Hey, like come over to my house and drink." And it was like, it's the first night that I've been able to go out in like 3 months. So I'm like, you know what? All right, I'll come out. I'll get some sleep. And it was daylight savings, so I got an extra hour of sleep, so it was fine. But I think it messed up with my throat. So sorry about that. I'm gonna have to make sure to schedule my drinking nights to be not podcast nights, because holy shit, my throat is killing me. Okay. Enough distractions. Moving on. Okay, so yeah, I got it all set up. So just go and talk to the school, see how much it is. See if you can do scholarships. Talk with your parents and stuff. It's quite a process. You kind of, make sure you ask all those questions, like any question or any concern you have. Oh yeah. And then there's like getting your visa and your passport and shit. I didn't make a note about that. I forgot. Basically, once you like tell the school you're interested, your first step, this was my first step, was to, there were certain things I needed to get to Japan. And again, I'm an American, so this is my experience with America. You basically have to go through like the Japanese embassy with a passport. So first thing, get your passport. Just get it. Like, I mean, it can take a little while to get your passport. So just have a passport. Get that all ready to go before you're going into this, because it'll make things a lot easier. You have your passport. You basically just apply. The school obviously helps you out through all this, but I basically had to apply to both the school in Japan and to the embassy. And so you need like a letter of recommendation from the school to the school you want to go to. And then from that school, they send a letter of recommendation to the embassy, and you get that in the mail, or I did. I took it to the embassy, filled all that out, and then a few weeks later went back and got my residence card. Oh, I would totally show it to you guys, but I don't want to show you like all the info. But I basically have like an ID card. It's all in Japanese. It's actually really cool. I feel cool having it just because it's like the foreigner's card for Japan. It's pretty sweet. So once you have that, you are allowed to be in Japan for like as a student for an extended amount of time. I think I was actually, my visa just ended like a week ago. I could have technically lived in Japan up until like last week. Like, oh, that would have been cool. So once you get all that shit taken care of, it takes a while. It was pretty stressful for me because I was really scared that I was going to miss a step or like make a mistake and like slow it all down and not be able to go. Luckily, everything went through to plan. I just kind of kept up with it, made phone calls, just I emailed the international affairs lady that I met with. I'm not kidding, almost every day. Just like, hey, just checking, am I good on this? Is this okay? Just bug them. It's better to bug them and make sure you do it right rather than miss a detail and get screwed. So I was really now looking back at it, I forgot how scared I was going to Japan. Because I was so worried that I was going to miss some detail and just get screwed out of it and be so mad at myself, because I could just picture that happening to me. That's just like my luck. That's just what happens. So luckily that didn't happen. Man, I'm sorry. I got to stop. I'm coughing and I'm sniffing. I'm done. Okay. Next note here. Make sure you have money. Oh, okay. So specifically with my situation. So since I was on financial aid, No scholarships personally. Most kids that study abroad have like mass. So I met people who had like full ride scholarships. I'm like, you asshole. Obviously, if you have one, I'm not calling you an asshole, but I was so jealous. That shit is so nice. So definitely apply for scholarship because they definitely exist. In my case, I basically all my money for the trip was through the financial aid. So I had like some personal spending cash, but I blew through it so quickly that I was relying on scholarship money, or sorry, financial aid money. I'm messing up my words. What happened to me, and this could be different for everyone. This is basically what happened. Is I went to study for 2 semesters, and in the first semester, they basically only gave me. I'm trying to even remember. I think they only gave me $1,000 for the whole semester, which might sound like a lot. It's not. I mean, I don't know. I blew through it so fast. $1,000. Like it's, you go here, you go there, you go get food here, and that's a semester. That's not like a term. It's like 5 months. No, like 4.5 months. 4.5 months for $1,000 is like jack shit when you're abroad. So I was really frustrated. So the reason it was frustrating is they gave me $1,000 for the first semester, but in the second semester I received $5,000 because the total I was supposed to receive as like spending money, I kind of like I had like calculated everything. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to pay this much for living and food and all that stuff, but for spending money, I'm gonna have $6,000. I'll be fine. Like that's gonna be great. I'll basically have almost like $1,000 every month that I can happily kind of blow. So that was a lot of money in my mind, except I only received 1,000 of it in the first semester. So that was really, really frustrating. I had to call this like the financial aid and like ask them, and they basically told me like it's out of their control because financial aid comes through the government. It's like it's a federal thing, so that sucked. So definitely that was a huge complaint I had when I came back. And that wasn't my, there's no way I don't think I could have known that before I went. So even though I made all the precautions I tried to make, try to have some money if you can. Try to get a summer job before you go. I don't know, have some extra money. I had to call my parents and they had to wire me money. Which goes into the next thing. Ask your school about setting up a international like credit card or debit card. Debit card would probably be better, where you can use an ATM in Japan with no fees and take out cash. In Japan, cards are almost never used. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of Americans. You will not use your debit card or credit card almost ever. The only times you really use it are for like really expensive things like house payments or car payments or, things like that, like really expensive things. You'd use like a credit card. For going out and getting food, getting coffee, buying clothes, you will never use your card in Japan. You probably can, but I mean, I used cash the whole time. So for me, I was an idiot and I did not set up an international account and went with simply I have Chase, for you Americans who know, or for people who are abroad who don't know, Chase is a bank we have here in the States. And I just took my normal Chase card and kept using it at 7-Elevens in Japan, convenience store, ATMs. And I got charged $5 every time. So when I was going to Japan, I figured, okay, $5 is expensive to do that. But basically every time I pull out money, I'll just pull out a lot of money and then I won't have to do it very much. Well, I probably ended up using the ATM, if I had to guess, at least 20 times. So what is that, $100? Yeah, so I spent about $100 just in fees pulling out my money from my debit or my checking account. So don't do that. Save yourself just the stress and the money and just ask them, like, how do I set this up? And like everyone else but me set one up. So I was the only idiot that didn't do that. So set up an international thing. The school will definitely help you out with it. It's super. I think it's pretty easy. Yeah. Anyways, guys. So that's leading up to basically that was leading up I guess this podcast so far we've just kind of discussed like getting set up and everything and getting all your money. I guess for this second portion, I really wanted to touch base on what I mentioned before, basically on how Kansai Gaidai wasn't a great school, and I don't want to discourage anyone who is maybe interested in going there because it's a really popular school for people to go to. Their program is not the best, and it's getting worse. but Japan was great. So I wrote a quote here. What did I say? The school sucked, but Japan didn't, is what I say. Japan did not suck. The school sucked. But it didn't ruin my experience very much. I just kind of enjoyed myself outside of school, which was a good thing. It was really easy to do that. So, yeah, I guess we could go in. Well, no, I'm going to push that back just a little more. We're going to talk about homestay. If you have the option to do a homestay, when you go to study abroad, which is basically living with a Japanese family and living with them as if you were their kid, it's not a hotel. I'm throwing that out there. Some people, they do a homestay and the parents get really upset because the kids will, like, I don't know, leave a wet towel in the bathroom or like leave their laundry on their bed that's all dirty and like expect the mom to do it. It's not a hotel. It's not like you don't get all these services done for free. You're living with the family, so you're expected to clean up after yourself. Be an adult. If you're studying abroad, you're probably a college student. If you're a high school student, congrats, that's awesome. I know they actually, I know that high school programs definitely exist. But that's all I can say. I don't have any information on them, unfortunately. But if you're a high school student interested in studying abroad, start Googling it and maybe ask your school. And your school, if most schools probably don't have programs themselves, but they could probably refer you to places that do have information because that definitely exists. So if you want to do that, that would be pretty cool. I kind of wish I did it. And you get to wear the uniform. In college, you don't wear school uniforms. For those wondering, I didn't wear a uniform or anything. So in high school, you would. So I did a homestay. I had the option and I signed up for it. Everything was perfect except for one thing. And I hope basically there was another student living in the house, which I wasn't really ready for. It was me, the family, and one other student. And I was there 2 semesters and each student only stayed 1 semester. So I had basically a different person each semester. And I hope if that person is listening, this isn't offensive to them because I don't mean to offend. But here we go. Basically, the other person living in the houses each time were just very different from me. We were nice to each other and we didn't have any like bad blood, but we just like we wouldn't be friends outside of that, just very different people. The first guy was really into, anime, manga, and video games and things like that, which is great. I personally, I like video games. Anime and manga, I'm not as much into it. I watch it as much as any average person. So it wasn't that alone that we didn't get along, but basically, we were just very different people. So it was hard, outside of the house to really like find a way to hang out, which was fine. We kind of just, had our separate lives and that was totally cool. But at the house, we were able to hang out, speak Japanese together. He spoke really good Japanese, so that was great. The second semester was very different. The student could not speak almost any Japanese, which is fine. I'm not judging that. I'm just saying it was different. So we weren't speaking Japanese together. He was really into politics, which I hate. If you know me, I hate politics. It's like the last thing I want to talk about. I don't get involved. Right now, Hillary and Trump are getting voted on, on Tuesday? Yeah, in 2 days from, or 1 day from this podcast. Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton is entering office, and that blows my mind. I still can't believe that's going on. It's crazy. I don't like to get into it though. So he was really into talking about it, and I wasn't, and yeah, that was that. That was basically it. We weren't really able to get along, so which is fine. Other than that though, I loved the homestay experience. I'm serious, it was great. The family I had, mom and dad, very Japanese. The mom actually worked full time, and so did the dad. But the mom, this was interesting. We're gonna do another podcast in the future, by the way, where I'm gonna talk specifically about my homestay because I have a lot of stories. So we'll just kind of brush it. I just want to talk about it a little bit here, but later we'll talk about it in much more detail. And I have some videos too of like a house tour. They don't know I took that video though, so I don't know if that's okay for me to just like show their house, but I think we're gonna do it because like it doesn't really matter. I just kind of felt bad because I just when they were out one day, I just recorded a tour of their entire house. Like, this is the bathtub. this is the bathroom. And it's like, I didn't clean the house before I did it. So it's just kind of like, because they have kids. So it's, sometimes it's a little messy. So the mom would probably go ballistic if she saw that. Anyways, I'll probably show it. We'll see it another time. Yeah, they had 3 kids, all boys. And in my family, I have 3 brothers, no sisters. So it felt very much like, my family. They were very young, but I could get along. They'd fight all the time. And I'm totally used to it. So it was fun. Again, the mom worked full time, but she did a lot of like what you'd expect, I guess. Again, things are very different from America. So bear this in mind. In America right now, like housewives aren't really a thing anymore. That's a thing of the past. I mean, they exist, but it's definitely shifting, toward equal rights, and which is great. And equal work opportunities and stuff. And in Japan, the housewife is still very much a part of their culture. It's still a very common thing. But a lot more women in Japan are working, and even living like solo, kind of like doing things on their own. This family in particular, the mom and dad worked full time. But the mom still did a lot of the housewife work. She cooked dinner every night. She did all the laundry every night. And I mean that every night, as in like, hey, Eric, what did you wear today? Oh, I wore these clothes. Oh, give them to me. I'm going to wash them. So she did my laundry every single day. That's going to vary from, homestay to homestay. So just like, this is my experience. It's not going to be the same for every family. Yeah, she did the laundry. She cleaned the house. Just things like that. The dad, obviously, I'm not saying the dad didn't do anything, but basically we'd have dinner, and after dinner, all the boys would go into the living room and watch TV and hang out and have snacks and stuff. And the mom did all the dishes, all the cleaning. And I remember seeing that for the first time. It was like, whoa, like, I remember like, I felt so bad. I was like offering like, hey, do you need a hand? Like, I can totally help. She was like, no, like, no. She kept saying like dame, which in Japanese is like, no, it just means no, basically. Like, no good, like, that's bad. Like, she's like, dame, like, go go like, this is my thing. I'm like, okay. Definitely a culture shock. We'll talk about that more in another podcast. Basically, the only reason I brought it up in here is do it. Homestay, that is, do it. If you have the option, I mean, okay, I say do it. For me, it was great. It might not be for everyone. Not everyone. Some people might want to live in the dorms, which is the other option with all the, with other foreigners. And the only reason I mainly didn't do it was because I went to Japan to study Japanese, and I was very serious about that. So I wanted to surround myself around Japanese as much as possible. And I know that people that lived in the dorms, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos before I went to kind of like get an opinion. And most people said, yeah, if you live in the dorms, you're going to speak a lot of English because it's just a lot more comfortable. You get home from school and you're tired and everyone there is speaking English. Maybe the first week you're motivated to use Japanese, but that eventually goes down and you end up just speaking English again. Or at least that's what I thought I would do. So I still went to the dorms to have fun. And a lot of my friends lived in the dorms and hang out, but I just didn't live in there. So for me, the homestay was a much better option. And I learned my Japanese just like, even though I'm studying, I'm still not like fluent by any means. It increased so much more just because of the homestay alone, as opposed to living in a dorm. Like I could see the progress there. So definitely do it, especially if you want to improve your language skills. Yes. Here we go. So like I was saying before, the school sucked. Japan didn't. I wish I could go into like the whole, again, okay, I'm going to add this to like the list of podcasts. We have to do the homestay and we have to talk about Kansai Gaidai like in strict detail. I'm going to, in a few weeks, I have a few friends of mine that I still stay in really close contact with. We've actually hung out in America already. We studied abroad at Kansai Gaidai together, the school in Japan. I'm going to get them on like Skype. One of them I actually might see over New Year's, and we're going to do an interview and kind of talk with them. Like, what was it like studying at Kansai Gaidai? Because they have some hilarious stories. I have some stories. More or less the management, like the dean of the school, was doing a lot with the school to start separating the foreign students from the Japanese students. So rather than like immersing them and making it more of an immersion program, it was more like, okay, the foreigners are over at this building in this campus and the normal Japanese kids are over here. So it ended up feeling like we never like got to see Japanese kids. Like if I made no effort to go out of my way to like meet other Japanese kids, I would have literally just hung out with other foreigners and then came home. And if you do that, I advise you to please not do that. Only in that you'll be so much happier putting yourself out there, and it's scary. And I'm an outgoing guy, and for me it was horrifying just because of the language barrier. It's really scary. To just go out there and just start introducing yourself to people. But believe me, especially in Japan, and especially at Kansai Gaidai, the school is literally, the reason it's the Kansai, or it's a Kansai Gaidai University, is it's a foreign language school. The students that study at that school particularly are, or specifically, I can't even speak English, are learning either English or Spanish. So they want to speak to foreigners. It's kind of traditionally Japanese to be shy. Japanese as a culture, or it's a very shy culture. And foreigners are a little scary. We're loud. I'm small, but most foreigners are a lot bigger, like bigger guys at least. Larger, weight sizes. Americans are a lot, larger than the typical Japanese person. It's intimidating for a Japanese person, and they're just as scared because they're not very confident with their English, even though they know a lot more than they usually admit. Because they learned it in school growing up. So a lot of them can read and write English very well. They just might not be able to speak very well. So what I did during lunch breaks, I went into the area called the NK. If you go to the school, you know what I mean. It's basically like this amphitheater in the center of the school where like everyone has lunch. So during lunchtime, it's crazy. There's a McDonald's right there. There's the cafeteria that sells the most bomb food for like $3. Like seriously, like they cook the food. This is not American cafeterias where they reheat a pizza or a pre-made cheeseburger. They would like fry eggs and chicken with sauce, put it on fresh rice, like put cheese. It's crazy. They have so many options. It's out of this world. I basically just go out there, sit down in the middle of the thing, and kind of just start eating, and kind of either wait for someone to talk to me, or just strike up conversation with someone who looks cool. Like, hey, like, I'm new to this school. Like, who are you? And believe me, it's horrifying. It's really, really scary. But you'll be glad you did, I think. And the Japanese students will be really appreciative. And they were really willing to talk to you once you kind of break that ice. Just kind of break the ice and you're good. They ask, you're going to hear a lot of the same questions. If you're American, again, I'm speaking from my perspective as an American, so I apologize for someone who might be from South America or from Europe. They're going to ask different questions, but as an American, you get asked like, oh, do you like Justin Bieber? Do you like they love Justin Bieber, Taylor Swift, in One Direction right now. That's like huge. They're going to ask you a lot of those questions. But it's a lot of fun. You kind of do like culture exchange and try to say as much Japanese as you can. Maybe try to say like a swear word or two. I would love to do a video series on Japanese swear words. We got to do that. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. So I basically I made it kind of my personal goal to not hang out in I called it the I guess just like the foreign building, because there was one building where all the foreign students studied. Like all of my classes were in one building, and that's where all the foreigners studied. I made it my effort when class was done. I left that building immediately and never went in there. Not out of, I had some good foreign friends, but I would see them in class and other times and maybe on weekends. But during school, it's like, all right, I'm going to go in this other area and hang out with my Japanese friends or whatever. And you'll make a ton of friends if you just put yourself out there and, if you're a shy person, of course, again, this is my experience. So that worked for me, and I ended up making a lot of close friends that I stay in contact with. I've housed a few of those friends that have come to America and stayed with me. It's one of those experiences that you'll be so glad you did it, if you just decide to go for it. So definitely just put yourself out there, make some friends, and they'll take you out to Japan. And if you like to drink, holy shit. There's going to be so many podcasts where we're just going to have story time with Eric. Oh man, some some proud and some not so proud moments for Eric in Japan. Drinking is a huge part of Japanese culture. It's very built into their culture. It's very relaxed, in that in America, it's very strict. You have to be 21 years of age or older. You can't drink outside at all. If you're outside, you're not drinking. Although in America, if you drink a little bit and drive, it's not illegal. In Japan, if you have even a hint of alcohol on your breath, you go to jail. You can't. But in Japan, it's trains and taxis are bountiful, so you don't need to drive necessarily. Drinking in Japan is so much fun. If you like to drink, if you don't like to drink, of course, you could go out to eat. You could go out for coffee. There's plenty of other things to do other than drinking, or you could just go out and just not drink. Just go out with your other friends and kind of, hang out with them, which I personally hate. So I like to drink. So that some of my best times learning Japanese culture or learning a new word or just meeting new people was when I went out drinking. So if you're that type of, you kind of find your avenue. For me, that's what where I was able to kind of meet new people, have really, really good experiences. So you'll find like really cool experiences maybe in ways that you weren't expecting. I definitely did not expect like going out drinking to be a time where I actually benefited culturally. Like, I mean, of course a little bit, but I didn't, the extent that I did, it's crazy. So, in some other podcasts, we're going to have story time with Eric. Oh man. Cause we have some stories that are just, falling asleep on trains, getting lost, meeting random Japanese salarymen who are drunk and want to go drinking with you and end up buying you drinks all night and food all night and crazy stuff. Really, really fun. So I'll start conjuring up and trying to remember some of those stories because they're nuts. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here to see. Mostly a lot of my notes in this section here were, I avoided foreigners as much as I could. That sounds bad, but I did. I knew myself, hey, I paid a lot of money to be here. I'm in Japan. I want Japan. So I put myself out there, and I'm so glad I did. And you will too. Just put yourself out there. It's going to be scary, but Japanese people are, in my experience, extremely, extremely friendly to foreigners, especially if they're at a school for learning a foreign language. Like that's the best place to meet people ever. So, okay. I have one more note, and then I guess after that, that's all my notes. So we can kind of just talk about whatever bullshit for a few minutes. But I did 2 semesters. So most study abroads, they offer either like a summer thing. Sorry, I need to take another sip of coffee. Give me one sec. I'm going to put on the Jeopardy theme while I just have a little coffee here. Give me a minute. And we're back. Wow, that was very necessary. I'm going to have to work and make sure, like I said, to make sure that I don't like go drinking and that I get full night's rests before these podcasts, which now that I only have one job and Hanakin and shit like that, we can hopefully do that. I lost my train of thought. Okay, so most school programs will offer like a summer program, which will be like 2 months, 3 months for just the summer. Summers in Japan are fucking brutal. Unless you're going to like northern Japan, like Hokkaido, that whole section, or Sapporo, I would avoid Japanese summers at all costs. I'm. It sounds like I'm joking. I'm not. The humidity in Japan during the summer is so unreal. It's so unbelievably hot. For me as a guy who lives in Oregon, there's like some humidity when it rains because it rains a lot, but not like. It's not like East Coast. For those who live on the East Coast of America, I went to Washington, D.C. once, and I remember that was my first time experiencing humidity, like real humidity, where like you're sticky and you're sweaty, even though it's not hot out, but that makes you hot, and it's just the weirdest. It's gross. So I went when I first went to Japan, I went in August, and in Tokyo in August, holy shit. I'm not, it sounds like I'm joking. I'm not. I hate the weather in the summer in Japan. I think if the Japanese summers were a little bit, maybe like, I mean, I'll probably just plan it out. Like if I ever live there or something, which I hope I can in the future. If I ever live there, I'll probably make an effort to like make a trip back to the States and then go back to northern Japan for a few weeks just to get away from the heat for a while because it's unreal. And then later in the fall, it becomes perfect. It's like cold and, well, like good cold, like fall. It's great. but summer programs exist, but Eric Abroad will not be in Japan in the summer. So at least if I can help it. I started from the fall. I did a fall and a winter semester. So these weren't quarters. At my school at PSU, we do quarters. So I have like a fall term, a winter term, a spring term, and a summer term. That's 4. This school had summer program, which was like short, only like 2 months, and then fall and winter. And the reason I'm bringing this up is that I didn't really think this through. This is one thing to think about when you go to Japan. And if you decide to go in, like, say you decide just to go in the winter, this is important to keep in mind because Japanese schools aren't lined up with at least with American schools in how, like, so in America we have school from the fall until, through winter and then spring, and then we have summers off. So we have the summer off to just like go crazy for 3 months. In Japan, and correct me if I'm wrong, because at least when I was there, this is how it was. It was basically, instead of summer being the long break, they have like a pretty long winter break and a pretty long, was it spring break? No, I think it was just the winter break that was long, now that I think about it. Basically, this is what happened. I went fall term and the Japanese students were there. So even though it was the beginning of the year for me, it was the Japanese students' like second semester in the year. So they were kind of ending their first, second, or third year as I was starting it. And I didn't realize until after I got there. I actually didn't realize this. I remember I was drinking with a few Japanese friends, and they were telling me about this. And I wasn't sure if I was hearing their Japanese wrong. I was like, no way. And they're like, yeah, it's true. I'm like, no way. What they were telling me is that after the fall term, so like in December, I guess in like late January or early January, late December, all the Japanese students have basically 2 or 3 months off, and they don't start again until April. So they go to school throughout the summer, which to me sounds terrible. I just explained to you how terrible Japanese summers are. They go to school, especially in high school. They wear like the guys wear like full suits. The girls have skirts and stuff, but I imagine it's still really hot just wearing all that clothing and ties and things like that and bow ties and shit. Crazy. So they start school in April, which sounds weird because we start in the fall, they start in April. So the reason it sucked was fall term was tremendous. Looking back, fall term was just more jam-packed with fun. The second semester was fun too, and my Japanese improved, so I was able to kind of go off on my own and travel and shit. But the first semester was just like a blast the whole time. There was Japanese kids everywhere. I had foreign friends too. We'd mingle together, make big groups, go out, go have fun, go explore. It was just such a blast. There was always stuff to do. Yeah. I'm just throwing this out there. I didn't do like any of the, if you go and study abroad, schools will always have like events for the foreigners to kind of help like have them something to do in case they like don't have any plans or anything. I don't think I went to a single one, because I put myself out there and I made so many other friends from Japan that were like, hey, we're going here this weekend and you're coming with us, right? And I'm like, hell yeah. And then it's like, oh, are you going to that school event? It's like, fuck no, I'm going to the X place. I'm going to go to an onsen with my 3 buddies and then we're going to go get ramen. That sounds so much cooler to me. So for me, that was, it's so worth it. Go make some Japanese friends. You'll be so glad you did. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. So fall term was just fucking beautifully packed. It was incredible. And then I found out that from basically January up until April, they're not there. So the fall term started back up, I think, in February for me. Yeah, the very end of January. So from February until early April, there was literally not a single Japanese student at this school. There was a few there that were studying in the foreign building that I was telling you about, where all the foreigners study. There's a few that were like in like a very intensive English program. So they're studying with us because we have, there was Japanese language courses and so like those would be in Japanese, but then we'd have like Japanese culture courses. Like I took one called like Monsters in Japan where we studied like, if you've seen like Yokai Watch, basically the yokai of Japan. Yokai means like ghosts or spirits, basically, like ancient ones. So Yokai Watch, it's like a cartoon show. For those who don't know, it's a new show in Japan. Kind of, I don't want to say Pokemon. I was going to say like it, I see it and I'm like, oh, that kind of looks like Pokemon. But instead they're yokai, which are basically like ghosts. So I'd imagine that a lot of them are based on famous yokai. I've never seen the show. I just know it exists because it's really popular in Japan. Anyways, that was one class we studied. And in that class, the teacher was American. He speaks Japanese, but he would teach us in English. So there were some Japanese students in that course, learning in English, which was probably really hard because, man, like fluent English, especially from a teacher, is fucking difficult. Like, even, for Americans, I'll hear a word and I've never heard the word, but I can kind of from context figure it out. So for a Japanese person to do it, it's impressive. Anyways, there was no Japanese students at the school for basically like 2 or 3 months. I think that was probably the lowest point in my study abroad for me, because like I said, I really loved to hang out with my Japanese friends. I loved to get kind of chauffeured around Japan and get that experience. So when they weren't there and it was just me with the foreign students, for me personally, it really sucked. That was the low point of studying abroad for sure. Yeah, I hated that point. I basically spent, the weather was shitty. There was no one to hang out with. But, you make the best of it. I basically used that time to, I think I was working on the channel a lot more because I'd come home from school. I'm like, I'm just going to go home and edit. So I just hated that because I wanted to go explore Japan, and I did. But the weather was so cold and shitty that it was kind of like, some days you're just like, I'm not going out there. It looks like it's so cold. But then in April, all the students came back, and I had like 2 more months until I was done with the semester. And those last 2 months, man, we went crazy. We went hard. I was like, you guys are finally back. Let's go. And I made an effort to hang out with them like every day. It was so fun. So just my whole point is to keep that in mind if you're deciding which semester to do. Summers are terrible. Terribly hot, at least. You'll still have fun, but they're fucking hot. Maybe if you're used to humidity, you'll be fine. For me, I fucking hate it. Fall was incredible, jam-packed. And then if you go in the winter, if the students are on Japanese school schedules, you'll likely come into a similar situation where you might not see Japanese students for a long time. And for me, I didn't like that. So just keep that in mind. I would recommend doing, if you're only going to do one semester, do the fall term for sure. If you can, do it. That was, again, I've said it 10 times now, but it was fucking fun. And in a future podcast, we have a few things now that we've talked about it. We're going to be discussing homestay in more detail. We're going to be discussing, I guess, the school. So we're going to get some other kids that went to the school. And actually, I have a good friend. Ooh, this could be good. I have some American friends that studied there. And another friend who is Japanese. He's studying abroad in Canada right now, but he's going to visit me in like a month. Yeah, let's get an interview with him. You guys want to see that? That'd be cool, right? Because he also doesn't like the school very much as a Japanese student, but he likes being able to meet foreigners because he wants to learn English, and his English is really good. So I'm excited. You'll get to meet my friend Masa. I don't think you've seen him. Oh, you have. If you guys have seen my interviewing Kansai Gaidai students, there's a guy named Masa. He's wearing a purple shirt. That's my friend. Basically, after we made that video, we became really, really good friends. We went on a few trips together, and I made those videos. Like, we went to, like, that sounded almost, I was going to say no homo, but we went on some trips together. It was really fun. We went to, like, a Japanese hot spring in the winter, which was, it was like, it was a vacation place it's like in the mountains in the middle of nowhere, and it's really famous for hot springs. So we went to like different hot springs and checked out shrines, and we were, drinking the whole time, of course. And it was so much fun. So he's a really good friend of mine. So I'm really excited to get him in. We'll get an interview with him. Some of my other friends that study at Kansai Gaidai. We'll have some story time with Eric. We're going to talk about Eric's kind of embarrassing, but also really fun moments going out drinking and stuff. And I hope it doesn't sound like douchey to talk about that, but I think there are, I actually do in my head. I have some really good stories, particularly one where I fell asleep on the train, and the trains end around midnight. So I rode the train basically all the way to the last stop, and I ended up in ancient Kyoto with a dead phone, no way to get home. I was still drunk, and I bumped into a salaryman on the street who we got a ride with. We're going to talk about this in another time, but just that's basically it. We basically we found a ride to a place, and they took us to the wrong place. It's a story. So I'm excited to get into that. Thank you guys for listening. I think we've pushed about an hour, maybe a couple minutes here. We can talk about whatever, but I've kind of exhausted my, I guess, my spiel for today. My voice is kind of killing me. I'm a little tired, and I'm excited to sleep in all day tomorrow. So thank you guys for listening. Again, I hope this doesn't sound rushed. I'm having a lot of fun doing this. I'm just kind of like, it's the end of my day. So hopefully, like in the next week, I'll be a little bit more rested. I should be a lot more rested. And let's see, what should we talk about next week? I haven't decided yet. But again, I have all these ideas. I don't know. I'll let you guys know. I'll post it on Instagram or something if you guys follow me on Instagram. Yeah, we have a lot of different things that we can talk about, but I haven't really decided yet. So today's word of the day again, remember, was Hanukkah. So thank God it's Friday. For Erica Broad, it's Friday night. Even though it's a Sunday night right now, Monday for you guys. It is Friday night. I can't wait. It's gonna be great to just sleep in, and I'm only gonna be doing homework all day, but I'm so excited to like spend a whole day actually studying and really catching back up with school, especially with Japanese, because it's a lot of fun. So anyways, guys, I'm going to call it. That was, again, my experience getting set up with studying abroad. And, we covered like homestays and money issues and, how I like to kind of avoid being with other foreigners as much as I could and try to hang out and try to immerse myself more into with the Japanese students and into Japanese culture. And in my experience, it was so worth it, and I'm so happy I did it. So I encourage you guys to do that. Try to build up a little confidence. Just don't stress it out. Most Japanese want to talk to you. Have fun with it, and I guarantee you'll make some friends. You'll have a great time. So thank you guys for listening. Let's try that again. Thank you guys for listening. If you guys enjoyed the podcast, if it was beneficial, please let me know in the comments below. I'm kind of just ranting here, but I hope I hope this at least helps you guys decide if you want to do it or not. And you should study abroad. Every experience is different. This was my experience alone. So some of these things might not always be the same. You might study in Tokyo. You might study in Hokkaido. Let me know in the comments if you have experience with that, or if you have any similar experiences with what I went through, good and the bad. Let me know. I'm interested to hear about it. If you like the podcast, please follow me on SoundCloud as well. I've got a link in there. And Instagram, of course. My Instagram is more kind of my everyday life. And also, if you want to personally message me, you can message me on Instagram. I usually get back to those pretty quick because it's on my phone, it's on the go, and I can answer them pretty quick. But comments, I read all the comments as well, so feel free to do that. And subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't yet. Follow me on SoundCloud. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. And I think I'm going to call it because it's late. I'm going to upload these videos and then go get some much needed sleep. Thank you guys so much for listening. I love all you guys. The subscribers have gone up a lot lately, and I'm super excited about that. So I'll see you guys next week on Monday morning with another podcast with a subject that is yet to be determined, but I hope you look forward to whatever we decide to go with here. So thank you guys for listening. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great night, guys. Peace.